This past week was Navy Week here in the Twin Ports, and let's take a look back at some of the appearances the sailors made around town. Mayor Roger Reinert officially proclaimed July 1st as Navy Day for the city of Duluth. The proclamation recognized the history between Duluth and the U.S. Navy. The Navy Band and Ceremonial Guard performed at the proclamation, and in attendance was the commanding officer of the USS Minnesota. The state's namesake is a nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine stationed out of Guam. It's one of only 5 nuclear submarines operating on Guam's naval base. The commanding officer brought 3 of his sailors along with him.
The most important part of my ship is my crew. And the opportunity for them to come here and meet the people from our namesake is nothing but an honor. And we look forward to spending time with all of you, learning from you, and hopefully you can reach out to us so that we can continue to share our stories.
Members of the U.S. Navy also stopped by Northwood Children's Services to talk about the history of the Navy and what the Navy does. And they hosted various activities, which included knot tying and an obstacle course with a chance to race against one of the sailors. And the U.S. Navy also paid a visit to Chester Bowl. They played fun games like dodgeball, boy, count me in on that one, and chatted with kids about their experiences. This was an exciting week for both the Navy and the kids, and we talked to a couple of sailors in between dodgeball games.
With the kids today, it was really fun. You know, I don't really get to go out. I go out to high schools. You know, with the older kids, it's definitely a new experience, you know, introducing them to who we are. Biggest highlight for this week is definitely the air show with the Blue Angels.
Yeah, I think the Navy Week here in Duluth gives us a really good opportunity to focus on what I think is the most empowering aspect of the Navy, which is our sailors. We don't have any ships here, we've just got sailors, and you know what? That is enough to get it done.
You betcha. Many members of the Navy Band, Great Lakes, made performances around town, including at Duluth's Power Up the Plaza, which is usually on the corner of Lake Avenue and Superior Street in Minnesota Power's Plaza. But due to the rain, they moved it inside to the Tech Village lobby.
We'd like to arrange some of our own music. We'll pull stuff that's kind of in the ether already. Obviously, like, rock and roll is a lot of fun, especially if you have an opportunity to cover Led Zeppelin. The Britney Spears and Sabrina Carpenter, that's just kind of like where a lot of us grew up, what's popular now.
And the Woodwind Quintet played at the Bong Veterans Historical Center. The group is based in the Chicago area and does performances across a 10-state area. Members of the quintet are from all over the country, from Washington State to Long Island to Florida. And the day after that performance, they were on our morning show.
Mostly what we do is we are support for ceremonies, we're doing public concerts, we're doing outreach events, pretty much everything you can think of, we're there.
David, what's typically the response when the quintet, performs live and people get to see and experience that in person?
Yeah, well, people always express their gratitude for us coming and making that connection with their Navy. Also, a lot of times we'll hear stories about how it reminds them of their service or the service of a family member, and just reminds them of the pride that they have in their service in the country, in what the Navy's doing, what the Navy's been doing for 250 years. Because spoiler alert, it's our 250th birthday this year, coming up in October, and so we just get gratitude for folks and from folks saying, thank you for representing the nation, thank you for representing the Navy, and thank you for doing it through music.
And they are such fine musicians. The group performs classical, patriotic, and military music across the Midwest in support of Navy outreach and recruiting. Always fun to have live music. Also, sailors got in the water, this time to feed some fish. They stopped by the Great Lakes Aquarium, teaching kids and families about the history and importance of the Navy. And 2 sailors suited up and entered the sturgeon tank for feeding time. The sailors got to learn about the fish and how to properly feed them. And the sturgeons, of course, enjoyed the company and the snacks. The sailors also stopped by Starbase at the 148th. There, students enjoyed 25 hours of hands-on learning, where they focus on real-world problem solving and STEM applications. Captain Dale Gregory Jr., the commanding officer of the USS Ronald Reagan, shared stories of his Navy journey and encouraged students to keep exploring science and leadership.
I talked to the kids about what I've done in the Navy as a naval flight officer and the importance of the education that I received and of trying new things, of not being afraid to try different things in life and to continue your learning process.
I want to do Starbase. That looked really cool. Sailors also stopped by Second Harvest and helped with food packing. Mariners of all ranks pitched in, from ensigns to the commanding officer of the USS Minnesota Attack Submarine. And sailors also stopped at Eckerman Lakeshore for an event called Ask a Sailor. The residents got the chance to ask the sailors about their careers and service. Now, many of the residents and veterans, they are veterans, and we're excited to talk to current mariners. And a big highlight for us, Rear Admiral Mike Brown, who serves at the Pentagon, also visited our morning show.
America's Navy is your Navy, which is why we are here. And I want people to understand that not only do we provide for America's security, we're a first line of homeland defense far from America's shores, but we also underpin America's economic security and prosperity. With more than 100 ships deployed globally daily, we guarantee freedom of the seas. And by guaranteeing freedom of the seas, we help America and Minnesota and Wisconsin export. And these two states are exporting powerhouses and supporting more than 110,000 jobs just in Minnesota alone. Mm-hmm. And your Navy helps make that happen. And we're very proud of that role. And that's why we're here, and to remind people that just because you don't see us on a daily basis, we're still out there doing important work for you, for the citizens of the Twin Ports and the Northland.
And for the full interview, visit our website, fox21online.com, and our new YouTube site. Visit that too. You know, Rusty, it was so neat because every day this past week, you'd see some Navy people here. You know, whether they're playing their saxophone or their oboe or bassoon or, you know, the interviews and everything. And all around town, you saw them too.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes me, I can't wait for like Air Force Week and Army Week and Marine Corps Week and who am I forgetting? Who else?
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard Week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a super cool week.
Hint, hint. Department of Defense.
Bring them all, because we love having them here. That was fun.
All right. Well, they got some good weather to get through the week here.
Yeah.
We got another good week of weather ahead. The details are next.